Red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light.
Well, folks, grab yourself a drink because we're about to enter a temple, a particular temple, a very well-established temple, because he is also a part of the Temple of Malum, one half of the TNT Extreme Tag Team Champions. Rob Drake, welcome, my friend.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Well, very well, my friend. Seen better days, but it's good to get back into the suit and get back to the swing of things. But of course, Rob, you know, as I do, every guest has a story. Every story has a beginning. Rob, how did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
Oh, wow. I actually began when I was, I want to say, 5 years old. It was 5. I played SmackDown 2. I went to my friend's house and we played SmackDown 2, and I was hooked. I played as Kane, and I was obsessed with Kane. I found out that Kane's brother was The Undertaker. Then became obsessed with The Undertaker, and it's been non-stop ever since. I'm still a fan to this day, to be honest.
You know, once a fan, always a fan. But I think it's very fascinating with professional wrestling. You could get in from watching the shows itself, or a singular pay-per-view, action figures, or the video games. Was it about wrestling that you think has such a wide range of entry points for it?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I'm not sure. They just have a lot of content out there. Like say, it's not just like one thing. You know, there's a lot of things I love. For example, Evil Dead, but they're just films primarily. Or you know, they've got the odd game here and there. Whereas wrestling, you've got, like you said, you've got TV, you've got pay-per-views, you've got action figures, you've got video games. You know, you name it. There's so much content out there. It's so easy to get into it, especially these days. Now it's on Netflix. Everyone's going to be watching it. Everyone and their grandma is going to be watching it. So, I think that's what was so easy for me to get into it. It was a PlayStation game.
No, I mean, PlayStation is one of the best. You know, I mean, Xbox is getting on there, but you know, PlayStation, it's got the best games right now at the moment. Might be a bit of divisive subject. Hey, look, console wars are gone and dusted, guys. That finished in 2013. You know, with 691. All right, that's the past now. But it's fun you mentioned Rob, obviously Evil Dead, a great film as well. But obviously, wrestling has transitioned to films in many ways. You think of recently, you know, with the Iron Claw, you've got Queen of the Ring coming out in the future, and then you've had WWE that have done films in the past, like Hear No Evil, and you know, all the Triple H movies, The Marine. But I think it's really fascinating. Was it about, you know, professional wrestlers themselves that make that good transition to the acting world? You see, like with Batista, Cena, Rock, is it just the skills they acquire through promos or working different characters? What is it that gives them that aspect of skill?
Yeah, it's to do with it. It's a bit of everything, but they translate so well because, you know, with wrestling, it's one take. Think about that. You know, we only get one take and that's it. You can't mess up, and if you do mess up, everyone lets you know about it. So the transition is fairly easy. You know, with films and TV, you know, you can have 100 takes. So I think a lot of wrestlers are prepared for that, prepared to, you know, go 100 times. And also, like I say, you develop the skills as you go on. You become more comfortable behind the camera. You develop a character, especially if you're, you know, a wacky character like, you know, like the Undertaker or Kane or even, you know, Bray Wyatt. They're so in depth and what's the word I'm looking for? Just so in depth. You know, it translates so well into movies and TV.
Very good transitions, and sometimes the best stories are ones that are based in reality. You know, I touched upon the Iron Claw with the Von Erich family, Queen of the Ring touching upon Marcel Patel from a women's wrestler from the 1950s in the NWA. But I would love to know from yourself, Rob, is there any particular wrestlers that you would like to see get this kind of documentary style movie in the future?
Movie wise, yeah, like, I mean, it's a bit dark, but I think Benoit's story needs to be told. Chris Benoit's story. It was just so. I think is it being filmed? I'm not too sure.
Documentaries they've done on that, I believe.
Yeah, they've done documentaries, but as in, like, you know, like a film like the Iron Claw. Yeah, I think Benoit would be an interesting story to tell, because you don't have to be a wrestling fan to to watch that. Who else? Someone, it just, for me personally, just some independent wrestlers that no one really knows about. They've had crazy lifestyles and stories that they're able to tell. Like, my word, the stories that you get on the road are just, you never hear anything like them. You won't hear it anywhere else. So it would be cool if they did like maybe a TV series on do you know how episodic episodes where it follows a different wrestler per episode? I think that'd be really cool. And then maybe they all meet up in the end on a show or something. I don't know, but I think that'd be cool.
It'd be kind of like the unique style that Love Death Robots does on Netflix, with their kind of episodic taking on stories, and then sometimes they all have a convoluted culmination in roots. Even like with Black Mirror, that could be a very interesting way to do it. And you mentioned obviously the independence, and when I think of that, I think of the names obviously like Adrian Street down in Wales with his legacy to the business. Obviously Nigel McGuinness on some parts as well, but even one person I think of obviously is the Scottish wrestler Lionheart from his story. That would be a story that I think should be told, and I think a lot of people would love to hear, because while tragic, he did a lot of good and building upon the Scottish scene. Truly, stories are all up there with this entire country, and I love to know, Rob. Obviously, I say once a fan, always a fan, but you be the fan that would take an extra step further to getting into the square circle itself. What was your story of exploring the British wrestling scene?
Well, I first started doing wrestling training when I was 10 years old. I was very young. And I found it very, very hard on my body. Training was not like it is today, where there's a lot of care that goes into it today. Whereas back then it was, it don't matter if you're 10 or 8 years old, you get treated the same, and it's not always fair. I remember I got essentially bullied out of professional wrestling. And I was just getting concussions when I was 13. I did it from 10 years old to 13. I was getting concussions. And I didn't know what a concussion was back then, but I just remember everything was very phasey. Everything was almost like a dream when I went to school on a Monday. So I stopped, and then when my brother went to WWE in 2015, was it 16, 15? That reignited the desire to become a professional wrestler, and then I really jumped the gun when I saw him win the NXT UK tag team titles. I just couldn't believe it. I wasn't told who was going to win. I wasn't told anything, so I watched it live. And you always just assume the worst, that they're going to lose, but it's cool that they're there anyway. But when they won, my gosh, I wish I still had the video. It was on an old app, and I deleted it. But I wish I still had the video of my reaction. It was insane. I just remember watching it, and I was like, this is actually possible. Like, if I just stuck with it and was, because I'm 3 years younger than my brother, well, 2.5. I could have been where he was. So it really made me kind of look at my life and go, I'm still young, but if you're gonna do it now, you've got to really do it. So I just went full force in 2019 and didn't look back.
Hey, fair play to you, my friend, and going after that. It's obviously I've seen a lot of wrestling schools around the UK now, and they're such a welcoming environment, always building upon and being sort of a family zone. It's great to see that's what wrestling schools have become now, and it's truly a great thing to see. You obviously mentioned your brother there winning the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, which I have a nice little replica next to sign me.
I zoomed in on that. I was like, is that the NXT UK tag titles? They are so nice looking.
They are beautiful indeed. I've had winners of these belts on before with Subculture, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. They're great guys.
They're great, yeah.
Held that belt. And for yourself, obviously, with NXT UK, seeing your brother be a part of that brand, I've seen people internationally say, NXT UK, it kind of killed the UK scene, but I see it more as it was the elevation point. It gave people the stardom viewpoint on the WWE network. It allowed companies to get the rub off of NXT UK, see from ICW and Progress. But all in all, you see it in today's scene. There's people that were on NXT UK that are now some of the biggest stars in our scene right now. You think of Nina Samuels, Mark Andrews. Like, what is it about NXT UK that you feel like it's such appreciated, especially within the UK, but internationally, maybe not so much?
That's a tricky question. I just think internationally wise, you had NXT, standard NXT, and then Raw, SmackDown, and then beyond that, you have Ring of Honor, you had TNA at the time, all these other, New Japan. So they all came, unfortunately, did come first before NXT UK because no one knew about NXT the UK wrestlers really. So it was it was hard for them to translate that overseas. But look who's come out of NXT UK: Pete Dunne, Walter, now Gunther, Tyler Bate, you name it, Trent Seven. So many amazing. My brother, should have mentioned him first, maybe, but yeah, my brother and Zach Gibson. Oh, the list goes on. Like the talent there was just insane, and it still is insane to this day. I don't think it necessarily did anything bad for the UK. I think that's overshot. I watched a podcast with Regal in it recently, and he was explaining, you know, what it's really like in the UK. And I was listening to him, and I was like, yeah, man, he's speaking facts. Yeah, I hope that I rambled on a bit there, but yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Oh, no, absolutely. I remember the podcast you're mentioning of Regal saying, there was, that not a safety network. It was very, carny or very, no protection for the wrestlers in itself. And I think NXT UK came around and it smartened up us. And like we've got the shine on us. We have to act a bit fucking professional and show up and take care of the wrestlers that have been a part of this. And obviously your brother James Drake, obviously now part of AEW / Ring of Honor with Zach Gibson as the Grizzled Young Vets. A great team. But obviously I want to talk about, obviously you mentioned, you saw him win the inaugural tag team championship alongside Gibson. I want to talk about that moment from yourself, because you said that you weren't aware that he was going to win it. So I want to know your thoughts and your feelings seeing that moment of him essentially in history now as an inaugural WWE champion.
Oh, so many emotions just went on through that. That era of my life was really insane. Like, I really checked out of wrestling, not as a fan. I've always been a fan, but when I was young, and the training was really unnecessarily hard on a 13-year-old lad. I was told, but I was told to my face in a group in front of everyone that I don't want it and I don't want it hard enough, and I'll never, work hard. I'm not a hard worker, and I believed that for the longest time. I really did. That really messed me up until even to this day. It really messed with my way of thinking mentally. So when he won those belts, it was kind of like, wow, breath of fresh air. This is possible if you just apply yourself. And not only that, me and my brother we played with wrestling figures together. We collected everyone's. When there was a new wrestler that came out, we had to have every single wrestler, every single wrestling figure, every single series. We had them all. Every single video game, we had it all. Wrestling just was our life when we were growing up. So then watching him on a WWE platform, not just a wrestling platform, like the biggest stage, was insane. And then not only that, he's the first. He will go down in history as the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champion. Well, I know it's not around anymore, but that's cemented in history. That's my brother. It's not someone I know down the street, which would still be insane, but it's like it's in my family. It's very close. So I forgot the question. I ramble on a lot, as you can tell.
Oh, don't worry, my friend. And I think that just speaks to how special it is. Not many wrestlers can go around and say that their family are part of an inaugural championship status. Whether the belt's around or not, people still look at that belt and have a lot of memories for it. People have replicas of it in their house or their studios like you do. The memory lives, and that's the important part. And I think especially with NXT UK, from the people I've spoken on that have been a part of the brand, from the Subculture lads and Danny Luna to Sid Scala to Wild Boar, it was a special time. And obviously, it's not able for us to view anymore, because obviously with the view to Netflix, the network shut down and a lot of archives are gone from NXT UK, from WCW to ECW. It's gone. And that's a shame that I truly cannot go back and watch this part of wrestling history, especially if it's this cementment in the UK.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a true shame, Rob, that we as UK viewers can't view NXT UK anymore?
Absolutely. I just think they'll end up releasing it on somewhat. I don't know how it will work with Netflix. You know, I don't know how algorithms work or apps, but I assume the app is too. It just can't have that library. Like it's just such a deep library. Just in Raw episodes is so insane. Then SmackDown episodes, and then NXT episodes, then pay-per-views. It's just the library that they have to put onto the app is just insane. So I think they'll figure out a way for them to, because WCW is huge, ECW is huge. So for them to not to just like uh, not delete it from history, but almost you know shadow ban it. I think in time it will get added to something. Maybe there'll be another version of the WWE Network at a cheaper rate where you can just watch old wrestling. I really don't know, but I don't think it's gone forever. Same as NXT UK. I really don't believe it. I'd be shocked if it was gone forever.
That's for the big wigs to decide, when they're
That's
releasing
it.
on.
Yeah.
Let them
I'm
do those
stupid.
cards. Obviously, Rob, you have been quite successful. You say that in the past where you're training that people say you never amount to anything, but you've amounted to things, my friend. You've accomplished a lot. And obviously one of those big things is you've wrestled for Progress Wrestling. Some of the people say the echelon of British wrestling. You made your debut on obviously Chapter 152 in a dark match against Brady Phillips.
Yep.
To talk about that was a big moment obviously for any British wrestler's career, but for yourself, my friend, what is the story of you making your debut for Progress Wrestling?
It's quite an interesting one. There's layers to it. Like I have worked. Like when I became a wrestler, it wasn't like a hobby. I came into this thinking this is my life, and it has been my life. Not many people in British wrestling can say that it is a hobby or it is just something that they want it to be their life, but they can't, or they don't, fully transition into it. For me, again, I quit my job and I moved back in with my mum to become a full-time wrestler. I trained, and then from then on, I became a full-time wrestler. So when I actually got given the progress date, because I've not been doing it a long time. Realistically, I made my debut in 2019, and COVID happened, so I didn't wrestle for 2 years. So you do the math. I've not been doing it a long time, and progress was a couple of years ago. So I hadn't been doing it a long time, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I've only got there because of Lana. I've only got there because of my brother," and that's fair enough. That doesn't. It never once bothered me. You know, we all get somewhere because of someone. That's what we do. Yeah, there's no shame in that. But what my job was to do is, I've got to show up now. I've got to really perform on this platform, because it's all well and good. Someone can put me forward, but now I've got to show why, I can stay on these shows, or why, I'm actually an asset for these shows. And that match with Brady, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Overthought. Um, I got warned about this as well. I said everyone was saying, "You're gonna overthink about this match. It's really nothing. Just make it simple." And yeah, don't worry about it. And we kind of just didn't listen to the advice. But it was a lesson learned. It was a very, very valuable lesson. So that dark match, it's kind of bittersweet. I wish I could redo it, but at the same time, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad it did happen the way it did, because it was a big lesson, massive lesson, and I've never forgot about that. What was the second part to the question?
Just how as you feel about being a part of Bobsy Progress and the way you've done in the future with the company?
Oh yeah, no, it's been great. To be involved in a story with, You know, people like Alexis Falcon, Charles Crowley, you know, LA Taylor and Sky Smithson is really, you know, I work with Simon Miller, I work with Azawa. You know, it's quite incredible. I was really proud of the story we told with the LA experience. I wish it went on a little bit longer, but it was so organic. You know, that again, we was just week by week. We didn't really, or what was show by show. We didn't really know where we were going with the story, and then this natural hatred between me and LA was brewing, and the crowd was just dying to watch us fight, dying and dying and dying to watch us fight. So when we were able to kind of pay it off in a tag match, I still think there's still something there we could do. It was amazing. I remember the atmosphere was so good, the tension every time we would come out, and I love being a heel. I love it so much, you know. And you know the whole ballroom. I remember when I walked out, and everyone was just hating me so much. I had this like nuclear heat with everyone. I loved it. You know, everyone was chanting Lana's bitch and everything. I was like, yes, more, give me more. So it was really amazing. I was really proud of what we were able to do. And you know, I'll always have a soft spot for Progress because they were able to, you know, see me for who I am and not who I'm associated with.
Mm-hmm.
And they give me like good opportunities to work with Simon Miller, to work with Ozawa, who, you know, is the Noah heavyweight champion at the moment, which is insane. So yeah, I'll always have a soft spot for them. They really were able to, you know, give me the reins and let me run with it a little bit. Still left plenty more I want to do at Progress. Don't get me wrong, but who knows what the future holds.
That's it, mate. You know, you never know. You know, I've had Lee McIntyre on this show before twice. Lee's great, and I love what he's doing for Progress in this new era. And you see it as well with what Progress is building up, not only with the on-demand service, so many great chapters you can go back and watch, but obviously with the collective, with GCW, they're going over there again for Mania 41 this year. They've done stuff in the past, and it's just truly exceptional to see. And I always ask international wrestlers, particularly, what company do you want to come work for in the UK? And they always say it's Progress. They always want to say it's Progress. It's the place they want to go. It's the place with the history, the place with the best wrestling and the best fans as well. Rob, for yourself, what is it about Progress that you feel has that international draw for wrestlers to come and work?
Like I say, it's just the work rate. You know, it's got that reputation of the British style where everyone wants to either try it out and see what it's all about, or they want to experience the atmosphere of the crowd, the ballroom. The ballroom atmosphere is always so energetic and palpable. I remember when you go out, when you stand on that stage and they have these bright lights. It literally blinds you. You can't see anything, but you can hear this crowd. This such a loud noise, you know, directed at you, and it's so infectious. You know, you just think, oh, this is the place I want to be. So I think people see that and just want to be involved. Also, like say the history, look who's been a part of it. You know, Pete, Gunther. Oh, I could name it. It will take me hours to name everyone. You know, there's just so many people that have wrestled there and had these banger matches. So I think that's why, and they just keep on putting on great matches and putting on great talent. It's non-stop with Progress. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
That's the best way to describe it, my friend. And you know what, Rob? I think you would look very good, obviously, with the Progress World Championship around your waist. I think you would look very good with that. But why not make history? You should make history, my friend. Why not? Is there a possible world that we can live in? I think we should. Maybe you and Lana hold the tag titles.
That's a very very real possibility. You know, look at what Alexis Falcon and Charles Crowley did. They were able to do that. So why can't it be us? The only thing is, I'm very serious. You know, when it's wrestling, I'm there, no nonsense. I'm there to get the job done. I love it to bits, but Lana's, you know, singing, it just, it almost kind of distracts me, and it kind of makes me want to shut her up. It's too much. It's too much for me. I can't stand the singing. I'm glad she's not here. She'd beat me up. Yeah, no, it's a good possibility. I really don't know what's in store for the future at Progress. I'm just happy to be a part of it in any way. I just love being partnered with Lana. I really do. If I'm gonna do something in the future, I want more of that. I don't really want to be. Of course, I want singles matches and I want to wrestle certain people, but I always want to be partnered with Lana. I think I'd never want to be separated from her at Progress. She's a part of me there, and I think that makes it special for me. Is that we get to go out and be an act together. So I'd love it if we just get to continue that.
It's a great act indeed. It's a very enjoyable one. I always have a good smile across my face when I see you two having fun on the chapters. Like, that's good entertainment. I love it indeed. Now, of course, as well, heading a wee bit up north to my neck of the woods in Scotland, got to talk about ICW. Obviously, Lana is the women's champion, but obviously yourself and with the Temple of Malum have done shows for ICW, obviously, particularly the After Hours show, Clash of the Castle weekend. A really big weekend for Scottish wrestling fans and Scottish wrestlers in themselves. So I have to first ask, obviously, what was it like coming up and experiencing this big weekend for Scottish wrestling fans?
Oh my gosh. So I've got a great story for this. I've never told anyone publicly as well. So as you know, it's After Hours, which is very rare for a wrestling show to go on. And we obviously travel up from the northwest from Manchester. So it's a long distance. So we get there and we're pumped. Don't get me wrong. We are always pumped. We're ready to wrestle. But it's at when did we wrestle? Let's say it's 2:00 in the morning when we were on. Yeah, so we're tired. We're pumped. We're just missing something to get us really riled up. And we're about to go out. We get told, okay, guys, get ready to go out. So we get ready. We're trying to we're warming up. We're getting ready. And they go, oh, you'll be on in another 20 minutes. I'm like, oh man, is there a promo going on? And I see this, it's 2:00 in the morning. We're in Scotland. I'm kind of tired. I've had too much caffeine at this point, and I see this huge man walking downstairs. I go, geez, that guy's huge. Look at the size of his back. I was like, freaking hell, man. He kind of looks like Drew McIntyre. And he comes around the corner. I just go, oh, that is Drew McIntyre. And he just looks at us and goes, all right, boys. And he gives us all the pat. He's like, he gives us this look. And he goes out, does this promo. The crowd is going absolutely ballistic for him. They don't know he's not been scheduled. They're going mental. And he comes back. He's like, right, boys, go and have a good match. And I'm telling you what, if that doesn't light a fire up your arse, you've got something wrong with you. We were so energetic and pumped after that. And you know what? He actually watched our match. Him, Carmelo Hayes, and Grayson Waller all watched our match. They were all there live, and it was just insane. Following Drew McIntyre is just it was mind blowing. So yeah, it was. I love coming to Scotland. It has a special place in my heart. We're always well respected, well treated over there, no matter what company, but especially ICW, and I'm looking forward to working more with ICW as well this year.
Yeah, it's great to see. I mean, hey, if Drew McIntyre's presence doesn't light a fire up your fucking arse, then you're having a bit of a problem there, Sunshine.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, wow.
Fucking hell, man. Fair play to you on that. Well, that's fucking cool as shit, man. And
yeah, man.
I obviously do want to touch upon Lana's achievement as well, dethroning the longest reigning ICW Women's Champion in Rio. And I think it's a fascinating story when you think about it. When Rio took the belt off her for Progress, and then Lana's taking the belt off her for ICW. It's full circle. It comes around in a circling moment. But obviously, touching upon Lana's achievement, must be so proud to see her, obviously, not only dethrone the longest reigning ICW Women's Champion, but kind of leading ICW in a new era now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's literally like, if you think about it, think about all the British female wrestlers that come out of this country. She is absolutely one of the legends. You know, whether she wants to hear that or not, I don't know. She's been doing it a long time, but she has to be mentioned. She wrestles every weekend, everywhere. She's been doing it for, I think, 14 years now, maybe 13. But that's insane. She's wrestled for every company you can think of. She's wrestled, most countries you can think of. She's done it all. She is genuinely a British legend. Like, name some female British wrestlers now that are like the top 10 of like legends that have gone out and done something. She has to be in the top 10. Signed or not, I don't care. She has to be. So I'm always proud to watch her wrestle, especially
Mhm.
because she's very hard on herself. She sees these young, very talented female wrestlers coming up. She's always a worry. She feels like she's a step behind sometimes, and I'm telling her, you're not a step behind. You're literally better than you've ever been. She's really found the craft, and I try and emulate it. I try and learn from her. And Rio, talk about someone who's like shot up so much, like so impressive. Always love watching Rio wrestle, and selfishly, I love watching her wrestle Lana. Their matches are always stellar, and they just get they keep getting better every time they wrestle. The matches just keep getting better and better. And I watched that match live in person, that steel cage. Um, no, I apologize. I didn't watch the match. Did I watch it? I watched one of their matches live, and I remember just like I was so into the match. When these matches happen, I don't want to know anything about the match. Like she obviously goes over it with me. I'll go, no, don't tell me. I just want to experience it like a fan. Just want to watch a match as a fan, so I don't know what's coming, and you can surprise me. I don't want to know who wins. I don't want to know this. So I remember it actually was the one before. Um, so good, really, really good match. So yeah, watching her win the ICW title again, another title she's won. Uh, I asked her not so long ago, like, do you know how many belts she's won? And she just doesn't know. It's insane the amount of titles she's won in the UK. But just in general, actually, it's just, she forgets sometimes. She's like, oh yeah, I'm the champion of this company. She just forgets.
Hey, success sometimes, when it happens so often, it becomes, I was like, oh, it just happens. Well, when you're very good at it and
Yeah,
showing people that obviously trust you to lead the promotion, you've done something good in your job, and that's what I think both you and her have done. You've led great stuff and been great for
thank
promotions. And obviously, Scotland, ICW is seen as the echelon, the top point, but obviously there's a lot of indie promotions otherwards. And I know you've appeared on two that I've had familiarity with, which is obviously Powered Pro and Attitude Pro Wrestling,
Yep.
and two great companies in themselves. But you've seen the top of Scottish wrestling of ICW. What's it like exploring some of these more family oriented shows? Does your mindset change with like how you deal with the crowd, because obviously they're more family
Yeah.
orientated? Just your
Yeah.
thoughts on appearing on more family based shows.
I love them. I absolutely love family-based shows because the kids get into it, and then it just reminds me that's how I got into it. I never want to phone it in when there's kids around. In fact, I actually want to work harder when there's kids around because I don't want to go to a family show and just think, oh, I don't have to do much. Yeah, I can just have a simple match, and I don't like that mindset. I look at these kids and go, I want them to look at me as a superstar. Or
Mhm.
I was against Frank Gallo, and he was so loved. He's like John Cena at PWR, and his kid was there. I remember his kid was there, and it meant so much to me that his kid got to watch his dad kick this horrible man's ass. This man who was just tormenting him and treating him like crap the entire match, and his dad overcame it, and it means a lot to me. I saw his kid jumping up and down for him. It just melts my heart, and I was able to do that because I was able to tell the story of I'm this no nonsense nasty man coming up from England to ruin everyone's dreams. Of taking Frank's belt. So yeah, man, it means a lot. I love family shows. Sometimes the kids, the opposite side is the Attitude Show. The kids get rowdy. They're way more ruthless, no pun intended, than adults. The things that they say. So, and you can't say it back. You can't turn around and just give them abuse, because I'm the bad guy. Apparently, if if I give a kid some verbal abuse, but yeah, no, they're wild. Yeah, it's all fun. It's all fun, but my God, you have to be a bit mentally tougher for those ones.
That's why we got the sugar tax. Too much caffeine for the youngins. They're a bit too hyperbolic sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, well, we touched upon it in the beginning, but let's touch upon it now. One half of the TNT Extreme Tag Team Championships, alongside obviously Issac North, Temple of Malum.
Yep.
Astonishment for honestly, it's a lovely looking belt. First off, fucking hell, that thing looks beautiful.
Super nice.
I want to know your thoughts on, obviously, this is a big achievement for the Temple of Malum, representing TNT Extreme. And obviously, TNT does little crossover shows with GCW sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Who knows what happens? But obviously,
Who knows?
your thoughts on being tag team champion, and what is it you want to bring to the tag team division in TNT as its champion?
It actually means that was one title that really meant a lot to me and Isaac. We were brought in. Again, I've always wanted to work for TNT, and now I'm a bit older, I'm a bit more wiser. With companies, I don't just want to be brought in for the sake of it. I want it to have a bit of meaning. And fair play to him, like Jay Apter. He held off for a while. He always wanted to bring me in, but he was like, "Oh, I want to bring you in for something. I don't just want to bring you in for for the one off." So he's waiting. It was time and time and time until the idea of a tag team came up. Temple of Malum, these two big scary. We didn't know what it was at first, but what were we? Were we vampires? Were we demons? What were we? And there's actually a photo out there that I may release one day. I don't know. I actually have the face paint, same as Isaac, and we took tester shots of it, and it just wasn't me. It's not Rob Drake. That I'm just like stealing Isaac's gimmick. So I was like, okay, well, what is Temple of Malum then? Are we vampires, or are we a cult? And it just ended up being this like almost Han Solo and Chewbacca kind of gimmick where no one can understand Isaac. Right? All he does is grunt and scream, but I understand everything he says. He'll grunt at me, and I go, "Yeah, good idea. Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah," and no one else can understand him. So we just worked off that idea, and I can still be Rob Drake, and I'm a big guy naturally, so we're just two monsters. And then now we're bringing Lana in because she's obviously star power. How can we not have her in? And it makes sense as well. She's with me. We all know she's with me. So she's like the little annoying devil of the of the group. And with Joe Kessler as well, he's another massive guy. There's one thing I said to Jay when we were coming up with ideas. We were thinking of bringing in new people, and I won't name names because I don't want to upset anyone. It was nothing personal, but we were just thinking of people, and I was like, I don't want to bring in someone who is like smaller or looks like they're the oddball of the group. I wanted us to be like massive human beings. Like what trio out there? Me, Isaac North, and Joe Kessler are well above 6 foot. We're well above the heavyweight limit. Name a group in the UK that's like that. There's none. We're all terrifying human beings. In the ring. So I really wanted that aesthetic to like when when there's three of us in the ring. I want the fans to be like, well, friggin' hell, man, who's gonna stop these guys? Like really? And then that comes into what we want to do with the tag division. I wanted to put a reset on it, bit of a reset. I want to bring back the era of a dominant force, because there's not many in the UK where, again, I want people to look at us in the crowd and just think, who can stop them? Like they literally look unstoppable. I want to bring that back. I feel like that's a missing element in the UK sometimes. Everyone looks very beatable, you know, in the aspect of everyone's got a chance. I want people to be like they've got no chance,
Mhm.
so we can keep them guessing.
No, hey, I agree with you there 100% there, Rob. I feel like sometimes when you look at some match cards, not for all of them, but when you see two people that might be on the equal footing, or whether it's height or build, and you think, well, there's going to maybe be a draw there, or it's equal footing, but then you see somebody who's like 6 foot against someone who's maybe on the 5'8" side, you're thinking, yeah, that guy's getting fucking demolished. Like, fuck me, he's
Yeah,
going to get it. And I think that's a fascinating aspect of wrestling, is that you have to have, obviously, the believability of like there is that monstrous squash, and it's beautiful sometimes when it's done well. Do you think also as well with the Temple of Malum, of your guys' gothic dark presentation is something that's missing in the UK scene? Because I don't see that much.
yeah. So it's a little bit tricky with that because I didn't want to go full emo gothic because I think like it's just been overdone. It's like death metal music. I know we come out to uh, Puritana by Dima Bioga. I can't pronounce the name. But even though that song is so unique sounding, like it's not just screaming, it's not just, you know, there's so many theme songs that you hear and you couldn't tell it from one to the other because it's just shouting. I didn't want that, and I didn't want us to be like goths and moshes and metalheads. So that's why I dress nice. I dress like the devil. I wanted to be like Satan, where I'm just smartly dressed. Like I pull the wool from under you. Pull the wool over your eyes. That's the one. That's the saying. um, we're still trying to figure it out. As we go in, we're still trying to assess like what is Temple of Malum. Um, so yeah, there's definitely like missing dark elements. There's missing the UK is just missing dominant singles or tag teams. There's nothing wrong with a squash match. There really isn't. What story are we trying to tell? You got to think of it long term wise. Some people are very short sighted in that aspect. If you're trying to tell a story of let's say you bring in this guy, he's unstoppable, beats everyone. But as the matches go on, you start seeing cracks in his game, start seeing openings in his game. So then when the right challenger comes along, it gives him a real test. And then, comes Razor close to beating him, doesn't do it. But then next time, you have a rematch. Well, now you really don't know who's going to win. And it won't happen if this monster you bring in, is having these 50-50 matches every time. It just won't happen. Sometimes I think people forget, don't think long term with storytelling. I'm a massive storytelling guy. I love telling long stories. I love telling short stories in a ring. Just simple, easy stories. I think people try and have the 5-star classic all the time, and not every match should be the 5-star classic on a card. We should have the simple matches. We should have the shorter matches. We should have the longer matches. A card really should be so different all the way through. Everyone shouldn't be trying. I'm not saying homing your performance. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, really just try and look at who's on the card and look at what can be different on a card. Because if everyone's trying to have the 5-star match, well, how are you going to stand out?
Yeah, exactly. It's about standing out, and I feel like you and the Temple of Malum do that exceptionally well, my friend. It truly is a beautiful look.
Oh,
And
thank you, man.
it's one that sells tickets, absolutely. But of course, Rob, 2025, you're making a big leap as well, because I understand you're taking bookings in America this year as well.
Yeah, man. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Um, this year is I don't want to say anything. Yeah, it's just this is going to be the year, the breakout year. I won't say anything just yet, but a year from now, expect me to be in places.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see where yourself and the Temple decide to conquer next, my friend. Well, Rob Drake, my friend, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the Soul Sessions. But of course, before we go, final questions for you, my friend. Indeed, the one wrap up, the final little question, Uno. Obviously, British wrestling is so varied and fun. There's so many great things that can happen here, so many great opponents, and there's many great things in the future as well, Rob. I want to know as well, for the Temple of Malum, with your TNT Tag Team Championships, if you could defend it against any British tag team, who would they be? But what stipulation would you love to pick for that title match?
Ooh, it's a good question, this. So, any tag team.
Anytime.
I enjoyed working Lycos, Jim. They were great. Oh, man. God, any tag team. You know what? I may regret this decision, but I would love to work Will Cruz and Rampage. I think that would be insane. And you know what? Let's just go balls out. Let's have it a death match. Let's. Yeah. God, what have I asked for? Yeah, let's do it. Let's just have a death match. A Hell in a Cell death match with Will Cruz and Rampage Brown. Let's do it.
Robbie boy, I'm gonna have to pour one out for you. That's a fucking death match, literally in bold and italics.
Yeah. Get my coffin ready.
Hey, I'll get the visual ready and I'll make the graphic and everything. Fuck me, man. That's gonna be a match and a half. The excitement of British wrestling, and of course, folks, if you love what you've heard from Rob, I will include his Instagram down below. You can click it, give him a follow. He's got some lovely merch on there as well. Get some for yourself. Represent the Temple of Malum and just to have a good old time following his profile. Well, Rob, my friend, thank you for coming on here on the Soul Sessions. And folks, remember, put your chair away, finish up your drink, and thank you as well for tuning in for now. Now about the gonna live like animals do. No more laws and no more